Welcome to this video lecture. Myself Atul Kumar, working as a assistant professor in Department of Computer Science, Rajiv Gandhi College, Jugandhar. In this video lecture, I will discuss about various DDL commands that includes create table, drop table, and rename table. So each database in a relational database system contains one or more objects called tables to store the information or data. So tables are uniquely identified with the help of their names, and each table consists of rows and columns. Each column contains a column name, data type, and any other attribute for the column. For example, we have this table name weather, and it has 4 columns: city, state, high, and low. And we have different rows in that weather table. This one is first row, second row, third row, fourth row, and fifth row. These are basically the records of weather table, and each record is different or unique from every other record in that weather table. So what are the rules for naming tables and columns in SQL? Each table name and column name must begin with a letter. The length of the column name or table name should not exceed 30 characters. The table name cannot be a reserved SQL word, and it contains capital A to Z, all the characters or English alphabets, small either in uppercase or lowercase, numeric characters, and some special characters like underscore, dollars, and hash. And within a table, column name should be unique. No two columns in a table can have the same name. Next command we have first DDL command, that is create table, and this one is the syntax for creating a table in SQL. It starts with create table, then we have a table name, and inside the brackets we have different columns, and they are associated with different type of data, and in the brackets we have to specify the size of that data. So for example, we have created here a table persons, and inside a persons we have person ID, last name, first name, address, and city. And for example, we have last name. The data type associated with last name is varchar, and the size of maximum size it can take is 255 characters. So this one is the basically the structure for person table that includes 5 columns: person ID, last name, first name, address, and city. So next we can apply different integrity constraint on a table. So constraint is basically a rule that can be applied on a single table or a group of tables. So column constraint can be applied on a columns, that they are defined as a part of column definition, and the table constraint when we apply at the end of the create table statement, that contains the rules that are to be imposed on a group of columns, then they are called a table constraint. The first constraint we have a not null constraint, and this means that the column on which this constraint, not null constraint, is applied doesn't contain any null value. Null value means either the value is missing, unknown, or not applicable. So if we apply this not null constraint on any column, that means that column does not contain any null values. For example, in this case we have created a table instructor, and that contains columns instructor ID, names, date of birth, post, and phone. And here instructor ID, on instructor ID we have imposed this not null constraint. The name of this not null constraint is NNINST ID, and it is not null, means that instructor ID can't be null. Next important constraint, we have a primary key constraint. And what is a primary key? Primary key is basically applied on a column or a set of columns that uniquely identify each row in the table. Uniqueness property means that there are no duplicate rows in a single table, means that each row is unique from every other row, and also it can't be null. The primary key cannot be null. So these are the following properties, these are different properties. Each table must have at least one primary key constraint. The columns that is primary key or a part of primary key cannot be null. So uh, the columns on which we impose a primary key constraint cannot be null. Next, the primary key is a combination of two constraints, that is unique key constraint and a not null constraint, means that the primary key must be unique for each row in the table. And if the primary key consists of two or more columns, then they are applied as a table constraint, and if it is a combination of only one column or it contains only one column, then it is imposed as a column constraint. And the maximum number of columns that can be there in a primary key is 32. So we can combine up to 32 columns to create a primary key in the SQL queries. So for example, we have created this table instructor, and on this instructor id we have a column instructor id. We have imposed a constraint primary key, name is pk instructor. So this means that instructor id is a primary key for this table instructor. So also if we want to impose the primary key on the group of columns, so it can be applied as a table constraint, and the table constraint is always applied at the end of the create table command. So here constraint, the name of the constraint is pk instructor, then we have a constraint primary key, and this is imposed on two columns, that is name and dob, that is date of birth. So here it is a group of primary key that is imposed at the end of this table, that is instructor. Next important constraint, we have a foreign key. So foreign key is a single or combination of columns with a value based on primary key values from the same or different tables. So the values of foreign key must match with the values of the primary key. And foreign key constraint is also known as referential integrity constraint, and the value of foreign key must match with the value of primary key in the where it is referenced, or either it may be null. So the table that includes a foreign key is called child table, and the table that is referenced by the child table foreign key is called as parent table. So there are two tables, one is parent table and other is child table. So child table contains always contain a foreign key, and the foreign key is referenced by a child table is called as parent table. So basically foreign key is used to make a connection between two or more columns tables in a database. So for example, we have two tables, one is department and other is instructor table. So department table, we have two attributes, that is department id and department name. Here department id we have created it as a primary key, and another table we have a instructor, and in instructor id is a primary key, and we have created a foreign key department id. So this one is created like this: constraint foreign key instructor references. References is basically a keyword, and department, this one is the table which is reference to create a foreign key. So department is basically the name of the table, and department id, that is the primary key of that department, and that is referred as a foreign key in this instructor table. So next important constraint, we have a check constraint, and check constraint it allows you to define a condition that a value entered into the table must satisfy before it can be accepted. So it is also known as business rule constraint. For example, here on the post column we have applied this check constraint ck instructor, and it is the syntax of check constraint is like this. We have to write check, and in bracket we have to write the column post in lecturer, professor and reader. Basically we can check when we insert the values in this table instructor, then the values must be in from either lecture or professor or reader. If we just add another value rather than inserting these three, then it will create a error. So it will basically use to impose or to check whether the values are inserted as per the specification given, or if the specifications or values are given and if we don't insert a values as per the specification or as per the values, then it will create a error. Next, now we have seen how to create a table. Now we will see how to we have just created a table and how to modify the created table with the help of alter table command. So in alter table we can add or drop one or more columns, we can increase or decrease the width of existing columns, we can change the data type, we can disable or enable the data integrity constant, we can add, modify or delete the integrity constraint. So how to add new columns or constraint in the existing table? So this one is the syntax. We have to use alter table command, alter table, then we have to name here table name, then we have, if we want to add a new column, we have just use we have to use this add, and we have to just name the column specification, constraint specification, column specification or constraint specification. For example, we have this alter table, we have to alter the table name instructor, and in this alter table we have to just add a new column name address, and the data type for this new column address is varchar2, and the length of size of this address column is 30. In this way we have just altered a table and new column is added in this instructor table having the size 30. Next, we can also add more than one column, or we can add multiple columns in the table. And to add a multiple columns in the table, the command is same like this, and inside add we can add different columns like address, salary with their data types. We can also add a constraint to a particular columns, and to add a constraint to a particular column, the syntax is like this: alter table, name of the table, then add constraint, then name of the constraint. Suppose the name of the constraint is primary key, and in bracket we have to write the column on which this primary key is to be imposed. Similarly, we can also add foreign key to a table, and the syntax is like this: add constraint, name of the constraint is fk instructor, foreign key, then department id is the basically a foreign key, and references mean it refers to which table. So the table is department suppose, and the name of the table is department id. Next, we can also modify columns or constraint in the column. So means if we want to change the width of the column or name width of the column, then we can use this with the help of this modify column command. And in this modify column, suppose we have to change the width of name column. So we have to write like this. The syntax is like this: alter table, instructor, then modify. Inside modify we have to write the name of the column which we want to modify, and then the data type and the new size or width of this name column. Similarly, we can also add or we can impose a different integrity constraint on a particular column on a table. So to impose a particular constraint, we can use like this: alter table, name of the table, then modify, then name of the column, then name of the data type, then size, and again in the next we have to impose this not null constraint if we want this name as a not null. Similarly, we can drop a columns or constraint, or we can also drop a table. Drop means to delete the column or delete the constraint. So it includes removing columns or constraint, or if we want to, if we drop a constraint, then the associated index with that constraint is also dropped. Means the particular kind of constraint we have just applied on that column, that is also dropped. We can not drop all the columns in a table. If we drop a particular column in a table, this one is very important. If we drop a particular column in a table, then the deletion is permanent. That means that we can't undo that the operations drop operation. So for example, if we want to drop a table, so to drop a table, the command is drop table. Here the command is drop table, the name of the table we want to drop, and here cascade constraint is basically a optional. This one is used if we have a parent child relationship between the table. So suppose we want to delete a table that have a foreign key that reference the table being dropped. So in this case, if we don't apply a cascade constraint, then and if we attempted to drop a table, then this create an error. For example, if we want to delete a instructor table, so similarly we have to write drop table and instructor. Suppose we want to drop a table named department. Now department has a key, that is department ID, that is reference to this instructor. So we can't delete this department as such. So to delete this department table, we have to use this cascade constraint as a option, and this means all the references that are given to this department table, or that are given by this department table to any other table, are dropped, and in this way we can drop this department table. Also, the next important DDL command is renaming table. We can also rename a table if we want to change the name of the table, then this is also possible, and this is also comes under DDL commands. So in order to rename a table, we have a syntax like this: alter table, then we have older table name and rename to new table name. We can also use this command, rename older table name to new table name. So suppose we want to rename a table name instructor to a teacher, so this one is the syntax: alter table instructor rename to teacher. Also this can also be written as rename instructor to teacher. So these are different DDL commands in SQL. We have a create table command. We have seen different kind of constraint that are imposed on different columns on a table, and we have just seen how to drop a constraint, drop a table, how to rename a table. So thanks for watching this video lecture.